How's Josh Hines Allen been as a pro, and what kind of contributions is he giving you?
Yeah, I think if you look at Josh's, if you look at sacks and all that, obviously they get measured so much by that, but he is doing a ton in the last two games to really disrupt, cause issues for the people that he's playing against up front in the run game. I think Josh is just doing this right now, honestly. As a pro, I've been I mean, he's one of the first guys in the building. On the off days, he's in here. You know, we had 40 odd guys in here on the off day working out, and he's been helping lead that. And, you know, been really pleased with him as a pro. Been really happy with him. I think it's just going to keep doing this.
Where's BT at health-wise, and do you expect him to be available?
Yeah, injury report will come out this afternoon. So, you know, definitely, I think, had a better week in terms of the way we were trying to connect. You know, excited about his op this weekend.
Every player you have to talk to differently. As you come in and learn this roster, is it 3 conversations or 4 conversations where you figure out, okay, this is what this guy needs from me?
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely time on task for sure. You know, the standard doesn't change for anybody, you know, any position group, any individual. There's still the standards, but it is our job to reach and find different ways to connect with these guys and to pull them out of whatever it is, or to keep building them and getting them on the right track. And that does take effort. It takes time. You know, it takes being intentional with your conversations with these guys. And, you know, I think that we're on the right track.
Desert good to go for Sunday, or still?
Yeah, they'll come out today. Yeah.
How has Bashal been in terms of taking what you're teaching him in the classroom and then and on the practice field and applying it and being productive in games?
Yeah, I think he's, you know, taken a huge step from the spring for sure. And you look at in the game plan, continuing to try to be on the screws with all the little details. Like, that's so much for a rookie, especially rookie running backs, like with Bucky last year, man. We had him as more of a gadget almost guy early on. Then when he started to go, there's so many things that he has to know that then, like, footwork starts to get a little jacked up on tracks. And then you start to decide, well, what is too much information and what is the information he needs to know, and what are the things that we may need to kind of live with for a short term till he gets going, right? And so I think the more and more he gets reps, the more comfortable he gets within the system. And, you know, all 3 of those backs really practiced their tails off this week.
What's been the thought the last 2 weeks? Shells Wednesday, pads Thursday.
Yeah, that was something I looked at in the offseason a little bit. I'd always wanted to do it. Had never done it really before. But it has always been the traditional Wednesday pads, Thursday uppers, and then Fridays helmets. We didn't even do Thursday spiders, and you know, it was full uppers helmets. If you look at it maybe from talking to the players, but also it's like, all right, what's the hardest thing of Wednesdays in the NFL at practice is the soreness. Like, they're still hurt, they're still sore. They just, you know, went through a car wreck. And what's the intent is to get them moving, to get the lactic acid out, get that stuff going, get them moving, but maybe take some of the banging off the shoulders while still being able to get your run fits and get some of the work that you need to do in normal down and distance, all right, with spiders on. And then, okay, fast forward to Thursday, you still get a normal D&D week, period, so you're getting run, play action, normal D&D work with the pads on, but also now blitz pup becomes more realistic. The third downs becomes a little bit more realistic because you have pads on, and they're one day removed from the soreness. So that was kind of something that we looked at in the off season. I've always been really interested in doing it, and gotten good feedback so far.
How has Grant Udinski's role with the team evolved since you hired him?
Yeah, I mean, the details that show up in terms of the way that we prepare, the way that each section of the game plan gets detailed and communicated to not just the players but the staff, and how often that those guys are in there together. We're all in there at times together, obviously, and you know, his ability to see it in the run game, the play action, like every phase of the plan. There's some guys that are just much more comfortable with the pass game versus the run, and they're maybe a little weaker in protections. But he's got an ownership of all three in terms of the run, the pass, and the protection scheme. So that's been really nice to have, and a guy that obviously knows what it was like working with an offensive head coach last year in Minnesota, and just that rhythm and routine and what it looks like for my availability as well. So he's in the quarterback meeting every single day with those guys. He does a ton of great things with active learning and getting them in the classroom in terms of getting them up off their feet. All right, walk through this play for a few plays. Okay, sit down, watch, and just keeping these guys moving. He's done a nice job so far.
A guy like Milam, who missed about a month as a rookie, can he pick right back up, or did you have to take a couple steps back?
Yeah, he may need a little bit more time here just to get more comfortable with just the movements again, and then without throwing him right back into the mix. He's going to have to do a little bit more on the side, do a little bit more extra individual work with the trainers, but also with the coaches, just getting his footwork back and his rhythm and his timing of this punch and just a comfort level. So he'll continue to work through a little bit on the show team until he gets back to a position where we feel like he can go out and help us if needed.
A challenge does Houston present in terms of your punt team? They blocked one against Tampa and had a 53-yard return that almost let them be able to win that game. So what's it been like this week preparing for that?
It's a challenge for sure. Those guys they're aggressive in the teams. They're the fakes. They also obviously have a good rush. They've got physical, athletic players that have played a long time in this league on special teams. A lot of first and second round picks that maybe didn't quite make their mark on offense or defense, and now, man, they're special teams demons and running around. So, it's something that we have to work through. I'm really excited to see our team's units this week take the next step. We got some young guys playing, obviously, in a lot of situations, but this is a great week for us to bounce back on teams and match that intensity. But also, it's a huge one about communication. Or how many are in the box as a punt unit in terms of being on the same page and communicating those things. And obviously, the operation needs to be really clean for us to make sure that we don't have any issues.
The way Anton has kind of responded to being challenged, being more consistent, what has that kind of told you about him?
It's moving in the right direction for sure. I think that I credit Anton for, he was challenged a lot this spring through training camp over the summer. And he has responded in a positive way. You look at the play that he made on the screen I mentioned already before, in pass protection just in general, his strain and effort, whether it be through the game or in practice, has absolutely improved. So I've been very pleased with him so far, and I think he has confidence right now and is playing that way.
Your plan for Travis, we've talked all about how many snaps he's going to play. Is there a threshold that you don't want him to reach at any point? Is that like 100 snaps? You know what I mean?
We haven't quite gone there. Like and we've talked about it. Like, all right, he had the 80 this past week, correct? And saying, okay, that's probably a pretty good start. It's like, all right, we hit that number early in the season, and now it's like, okay, is that something that we want to probably strive to be around right now? Probably, I'd say so. We haven't necessarily said, okay, if there's a number that he can't go to yet. So whether that occurs and goes over that number this week, who knows? But I think we're just going to be open to seeing where it goes.
Offensively, how difficult is it to prepare for such a talented defense? Yeah. Well-coached defense, and does it force you to have to change anything about your preparation in a week like this?
No, you just, again, we have to be very conscientious with the edge rushers for sure, in terms of, when we want to end up pushing the ball down the field, how are we helping those guys or whatever it is. And it's just an emphasis for the quarterback, receivers, tight ends. Like, the timing and rhythm of the pass game needs to be sharp. They play a lot of zone, but they'll also play some man. And when we get those opportunities, that we have to be able to say, well, this ball has got to get out on a hitch or a hitch or two here. We don't have much more than that, just, play in and play out. So it's just everybody has got to have it's not like you got to go and do anything different. It's just, hey, guys, the timing and rhythm, we have got to get the ball out of our hands in terms of being at the right spot at the right time, the quarterback with his progressions and reads. Not, hey, we don't have to speed up, but, guys, we don't probably have too much more than that. So I have a lot of faith. I mean, in watching the tapes from last year and how the O-line played, the guys that are back this week for us, have done some nice things against those guys as well. So it's going to be a good battle.
3 snap penalties last week. How much time were you able to spend on that in practice? And you feel like pretty good about that being cleaned up going into this week?
Yeah. I think we kind of helped them out in some ways, schematically a little bit, just trying to tighten it up for them. There was some things last week that we were trying to do in order to undress the defense that ultimately, in some ways, was really good and allowed us to get some explosives, and in some ways was hurtful. So that's the fine line and balance that we're trying to find as coaches, especially early on with this team. So I think we probably did a better job this week of just understanding, okay, we obviously struggled with it a little bit, and how do we help them in terms of taking some of that off of them.
Trevor showing you that he's ready to play just by his preparation. How is he looking this week?
Yeah, I thought he had a good Wednesday. Wednesday's practice for us as a team was better than last Wednesday. I thought his detail, the way he's been preparing, like I said, has been really good. So today will be nice to be able to go out and see some of the red zone throws and some of those things get thrown today. So I think he's had a good week.
When do you sort of give your final speech to the team? Is it Sunday morning? Is it Saturday evening? How do you like to?
Yeah, Saturday night. Okay. We have a team meeting at 8:00, and so that's when we'll, last time we'll really address the team before the, we go out, the beginning of the game. So that's the last message. We'll have a what it takes meeting tomorrow as a team, where a lot of the message will occur in that Saturday team meeting, and then we'll kind of reaffirm it, talk a little bit Saturday night as well.
How special is that time for you?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think that each week, it's a little bit, there's a different nuance, right? But the messaging has to remain consistent for these guys. They are responding, I think, in a lot of ways to what we are challenging them to do. And, we'll see how much I have to actually say Saturday night.
Are you a write it down ahead of time guy or just off the cuff?
No, I mean, I'll think about what, I will write some of these things, the notes of during the week. I'm kind of jotting down those what it takes, keys to victory type of messaging. And then, what is the tone, of it? And what is the tone going to be? So I will write some of that stuff down throughout the week and then reference it Saturday, morning, Friday night a little bit.